It's the middle of the night, and you're laying on your bed or sitting at your desk watching or playing horror games. Some games don't faze you, but others, they scare you to death. The dark, ambient environment, the sounds, every dark hall has your heart skipping a beat. Whether it's a chase scene that has you fearing to turn around, or a jump scare that catches you at the right moment, well-crafted horror games can play off of your emotions and even make it difficult to sleep. You finally made it down the long hall. You turn the corner and... Hello everyone, and welcome to the grand premiere of Pyrember Studios. The idea for this YouTube channel has been floating around my mind for a while, and me and the Pyrember Studios family have been looking forward to this day. You're about to see the first ever Fireside Chat, a series where I choose a gaming-related topic and talk about it to you all. This video also marks the start of a 5-day countdown to the very first Pyrember Studios livestream this Friday. For about an hour and a half, we'll be playing games live. But enough of that. Today's topic is the elements of a good horror game. What do game designers do to make truly terrifying and eerie content? If all goes well, these questions and more will be answered today. IGN lists the best horror games of 2017 as, bear with me, this is a very long list: Bendy and the Ink Machine, Darkwood, Detention, Doki Doki Literature Club, The Evil Within 2, Faith, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, Friday the 13th, the game, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Little Nightmares, Narcosis, Observer, Outlast 2, Prey, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, Soma, Stories Untold, and Yomawari, Midnight Shadows. What makes these games the best? The truth is, there isn't a surefire formula for a successful horror game. Heck, there isn't even very much consistent between all of these games. Nevertheless, we can analyze them to see what makes them special. First up is the jump scare, the signature horror tactic of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. This can deliver a quick shock to the player, but cannot be relied on alone. From my experience playing the FNAF games, I've found that seeing jump scare after jump scare can cause the player to build up tolerance to them, especially without proper suspense. When incorrectly executed, jump scares can become predictable, and even if the player is scared, they can exit the game before they get jumped. A well-executed jump scare must be unpredictable and backed up by proper suspense and insecurity. Otherwise, it becomes the cheap horror tactic that many experts claim it to be. As I mentioned, suspense is very important to a horror game. This can be delivered through eerie backgrounds, imagery, or sounds. An unfamiliar environment generates a nervous and uncomfortable feeling, perfect for the creation of suspense. A great example of this is from Little Nightmares, which features a huge, dark, and eerie environment. The way that the scenery makes the player feel small and helpless builds an intense amount of stress and suspense, which can be just what a horror game needs to truly scare the player. Another example of this is Narcosis, which puts the player deep in the Pacific Ocean. With a quickly depleting air supply, this environment plays off claustrophobic feelings, which can create a tense and suspenseful environment. Another way to build suspense is to hold a terrible event or death over the player, which leaves them waiting to be scared. This also creates tension as the player rushes to meet a time limit, or apprehensively turns each corner knowing that another character died in the very same circumstances. On the other hand, if too much is known about the future, it may completely destroy all suspense, making this a risky tactic. For example, if I told you that I would jump scare you before the end of this video, it might freak you out a bit. If I told you I would jump scare you again in exactly 3 minutes, you might not be so afraid anymore. However, if you place the coming event just far enough out, you could surprise them just as they begin to forget, which makes for a truly startling experience. Another great horror tactic is a deep, fleshed out, yet mysterious storyline. Again, take the Five Nights at Freddy's series as an example. Its confusing, yet deep storyline has people coming back again and again, trying to find all of the hidden scenes and minigames to find the lore hidden deep under the surface. Embellishing a horror game with mystery pushes it over the edge, forcing people to go into that dark hallway that they know full well is a horrible idea, just to discover a clue to the confusing world that they've been placed into. Mystery and horror often go hand in hand and create some of the best gaming experiences out there. A noticeable trend in recent horror games is the ever-growing genre of games that play off of children's things, like cartoons, and make them into a truly terrifying experience. To avoid going back into the FNAF series, although they fit this bill entirely, I'd like to mention Bendy and the Ink Machine under this category. This game proves that anything can be made scary, turning characters from fictional children's cartoons into monsters reminiscent of the occult. The FNAF franchise does the same, turning pizzeria animatronics into bloodthirsty killers. Turning these family-friendly characters into monsters can create a very unnerving and horrifying experience. Lastly, I'd like to talk about another subgenre which has been given the limelight in the last year: surreal and psychological horror. At this point, many of you may know where I'm going. Doki Doki Literature Club. I won't say much, because saying anything spoils the true terror of the game. Take this as your warning. While I won't be spoiling by any means, I will be talking about some of the elements that make this game terrifying. Has anyone who wants to left? Good. Okay, so as I was saying, Doki Doki Literature Club is a really amazing and scary game. In a way, it fits into the previous category, as it masks its horror under the cute facade of a visual novel. This game does something very, very well, which should not be underused as a horror element: taking the player by utter surprise. That's all I'll say, but if you want to know what really makes this game a perfect example of psychological horror, you'll have to play it yourself. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and remember, we didn't start the fire, we just keep it burning. Lucky for you all, the video didn't last 3 minutes. But don't worry, I'll get you next time.